Smells fine. Alright, I did this one last month, and it's called Untitled, basically. And basically there was like something on Facebook which said, you know, I wasn't created just to pay bills, or my life isn't just to pay bills, something like that. And I remember thinking, like, it's so true, you know, like sometimes we get into these sort of, we get into like a mentality that we forget that like we are so marvelous, like each human being is like, we're so magical, do you know what I mean? We're so wonderful, and we forget like how incredible we are and how we came from nothingness. Like there was a point in time that I didn't exist, you know, and then I was manifested. And so for that reason, like there must be, I'm here for something. Like we're all here for something, regardless of how inferior we may feel. Like we all have a special purpose. So that's what this is about. Bismillah. God didn't bring your essence out of non-existence for you to dwell in the insignificant. Your excellence painted the heavens with a masterpiece so unique. The stars, the moon, the cosmos lost the ability to speak, and they are still silent in awe of God's craft. His breath in our torso. Our souls are eternal. Our imagination a portal to a land beyond the rainbows. We are more brilliant than the morning star. We are a culmination of seasons and the elements, custodians of the cosmos. The earth holds our footsteps, and the winds dance with our breath. Our potential is as vast as the universe. Let your petals unfold towards the sun in continual manifestation of the brilliance of the one. And since it is International Women's Day tomorrow, my last piece is called Women of God.
Of course.
Of course.
What do you do on International Women's Day?
We honour our mothers.
Is that Mother's Day?
No. Well, no, Mother's Day is, you can get your mum gifts and stuff. On International Women's Day, you just honour women full stop. So I think basically what you should do is find like a really significant woman from like, I don't know, from your culture. It can be someone from Egypt, and like just learn everything about her, memorize, and make sure you tell 10 people about her.
10 people?
Yeah, about her magnificence.
Or
write a poem about her.
Alright.
Yeah? Yeah?
Alright.
With footnotes. Well researched.
Well, yeah, exactly. Not Wikipedia. Okay.
This is all the guys in the room, yeah?
Yes! That's my challenge.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah.
I think.
All the guys in the room on International Women's Day have to find out about. Don't just do. Not saying there's anything wrong with our mums and stuff, because obviously our mums are amazing. But don't just be like, yeah, I love my mum because she makes me cornflakes. Because that's what Mother's Day is about, innit? But like International Women's Day, like find out about a woman of significance from your culture, possibly, or it can be from someone else's culture. But start at home, innit? Like if you don't know any woman of your culture, find out, and then either tell 10 people about her or write a poem about her. Yeah. Yeah, challenge. This is my challenge. See if you guys can do it. Alright, Bismillah. Women of God, leave traces of a sacred fragrance in. Sorry, Bismillah, sorry, again.
Can't do that every time.
I know, dude. Whilst I'm here, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to read. Okay, Bismillah. Women of God, leave traces of a sacred fragrance in the spaces she graces. Her aura comforts with no words. She is of a kind that reminds you of God because her soul never left him, never stopped saying, indeed you are my Lord. Her heart bursts beauty whenever her beloved is mentioned. She is like a flower in constant bloom, a perpetual full moon, always in tune, always present in his presence and open to the unfolding of her Lord in every moment. Handmaidens of the Most High. She whispers prayers into winds and wakes whilst the world is sleeping to speak with him. The God of Abraham, the God of Moses, the God of Muhammad, peace be upon them. She belongs to him and he is her everything. Her every act is a hymn, every move a sacred dance. She twirls like galaxies for all who have eyes to see. She is so, so beautiful. Her heart is a lamp and she hosts the light of God that illuminates all who see her face. She leaves traces of the sacred in all the places she graces. Ooh.
So, Sukeena, what advice would you give the women?
I already gave them advice.
You forced us to write something about women. That was only for the dudes, but what would you say collectively to both, all three sexes?
Well, I was like, well, okay, this is what I will say. Okay, so, as Suhaib mentioned, like, I was on Al Jazeera recently, so I'm part of a Muslim female kind of hip-hop group called Poetic Pilgrimage, and Al Jazeera will be screening a documentary about my group tomorrow, because I think they think our story is interesting or something. And so on Wednesday we were there live as part of something called The Stream, Al Jazeera The Stream, and so it's like a live show. And so it's really cool, it's a really good experience. But afterwards, I went onto the Al Jazeera Facebook page, and there were like loads of death threats to our group. Like kind of unbelievable. Like I had never really seen this level of like hate before. Like usually people are like, it's haram, it's bid'ah, you're jahiliyyah.
You've had death threats before though, right?
No, I had never.
Okay.
So this was like a different thing. It was like a whole different level. It was like they should be hung, they should be stoned, they should be beheaded. They should be.
ISIS, like.
Yeah, they were like. Someone was like, "Don't you know ISIS have eyes and ears? They're watching you. They have eyes and ears everywhere." Someone else was like, "Oh, they should get kidnapped by Boko Haram." Someone else was like, "What else was
It was just trolling.
Yeah, it was just straight. But I mean, it wasn't like 2 or 3. Like it was like hundreds and hundreds of comments, right? And so what it made me realize, and so not only does it look crazy for us as Muslims, right, it also looks really strange for non-Muslims reading it, because they're just like, huh?
What did you do that offended them so badly?
I think what was offensive for them was that, so my argument on Al Jazeera stream, when I was talking about it, I said what I think is a subtle form of racism in our community is that every Muslim tradition that I'm aware of has music in their culture. Do you know what I mean? If you go to like Egypt, you have like Kulthum. In Palestine, Morocco, they have like crazy music festivals every year. Say that again?
Saudi's got no music.
They have some parties over there. You know, you have Qawwali music. Like in all of the Muslim traditions, whether people believe it's halal or haram, it exists. There exists a tradition of music, and no one questions whether or not these people are Muslim or not. But for us, my background is Jamaican, so for us people who were taken from Africa as slaves, the music that we created is like reggae and hip hop, and this is how we communicate. This is my tradition. Do you know what I mean? So, but for them, for a lot of the people, they feel like this is such a disrespect to Islam that we would use hip hop as Muslims. Like for them, it's just like it's like how dare you, you know? And so the debate is very much like choose. Like someone on Twitter wrote, choose Islam or choose hip hop. Like, they were like, exactly.
That's alright.
Or even like this kind of idea, like someone else was like, you know, hip hop is a culture and Islam is a culture. Like you choose, like you can't. They don't marry, you know. Even though for us, before I was a Muslim, the first time I ever heard the words Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim on a hip hop the first time I ever heard those words was on a hip hop track from Mos Def. Like that's the first time I'd ever even heard. Even the name Allah, like I heard it through hip hop. I came to know Islam through hip hop. So I think the reason why I'm telling you all this is just to basically say that like our community is in a really, really dark place, you know, and I think that like we've got issues as a community. Like I feel like, you know, I don't know if it's this kind of ISIS thing that's happening at the moment, but it just seems to be this. It's acceptable to kind of like claim that it's acceptable to say. To claim to be able to kill somebody who follows a different opinion than you. Before there wasn't this kind. Before I've been doing this for 10 years. Before there wasn't this whole kind of like, but you deserve to die though. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was more like don't do it. Like may Allah guide you to the truth. Otherwise you're gonna go to hell. It was that kind of vibe. But this is like no, you know. And I think like it's really it's different. It's very violent. And I think that like. It just made me realize that as a community, we really need to be advocates for love. You know, we really need to be advocates for goodness and peace. Because my sister-in-law, when she was reading it, she goes, can you see why we're confused about Islam? Like, we love you, we see you, and we love you, but can you understand why this is just off-putting? Like, I don't get it. Like, how can people think this is okay? And so, that's my thing, really. Like, we really need to be advocates for love, and you know, we really need to kind of like strive to be the best examples as possible. You know, because
Al Jazeera say anything to you? Curiosity.
Like I'll just.
Did they communicate? Like, yeah, did they tell you like this is unusual? Is it unusual, or is this Al Jazeera people like this? Or what is it?
They didn't really communicate, but I don't know. They didn't communicate. One guy was like, "Oh, like these guys are trolling again," so maybe it might be a common thing.
Yeah.
But it was interesting.
How did it make you feel, like emotionally?
Well, I think that So I think like if this had happened like 3 or 4 years ago, I would have been really emotional because like when you convert to a religion, you leave everything behind. You know what I mean? You've left a way of life behind to come to another. And so when people within that community condemn you to hell and they be like, Allah's angry with you and da 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 da, it kind of like it messes you up a little bit because you're just like, no, but I love Allah. Like I didn't know, you know, like. But then I think now, I'm a lot firmer in my faith and I'm a lot firmer in what I'm doing and I know what I'm doing and I'm not like, I've really had to purify my intentions a lot. So now, I just feel sorry for them. It doesn't affect me, like I'm not afraid, but I'm just more like, wow, like is that where we are as a community? Like is this like in the darkest recesses of our hearts, we harbor this kind of darkness. It was a bit weird. So yeah, basically. So that was it.
One question.
Yeah.
Sorry. When you just 3 or 4 years ago, you say you were still not sure, but were still new, and until now you still say that you're firmer. What made the change?
I think maybe for me, I think one of the things that made a change was having a sheikh or having like a spiritual teacher, because I think that like when you're connected to somebody spiritually, you have that guidance, if you see what I mean, and you have that firmness. So I think that that's played a big role for me. And having like traveled, I spent like a while in Senegal and like in a community there. So I think that that's made me a lot more comfortable and confident in my relationship with Allah. So I think that's probably been the main difference. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm taking up so
No,
much
it's
time.
good. It's all good. Any words of advice? You've given us words of advice already, right?
Yeah. Did you want to?
When's your program on?
It's on tomorrow.
What time?
10:30 on Al Jazeera.
What channel is
Yeah,
Al
okay.
Al
Jazeera?
Jazeera. 10:30 p.m.
PM.
So they put it on to coincide with International Women's Day, basically. So it should be good. It's a good film. I think you guys, inshallah, will enjoy it because it's not just a film about music. It's a film about faith and friendship and the trials that converts go through and some of the trials that women go through as well. So yeah, so check it out.
So if we just
How long is it?
Half an hour? It's short. It's short, but it's really good. I really it's really good. So I think Al Jazeera is maybe like it's in the 500s on Sky, and if you don't have Sky, then you can just go on Google and it's on stream live. Yeah, inshallah. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
I just want to put a general call out for acts if anyone else wants to perform any